Hi, I'm Lauren.
And I'm Steve,
Welcome to our channel Bucket List Bound.
where we take you along on our epic adventures around the globe.
This time, we're sticking close to home, heading to Edinburgh for the day. A stunning city with a mysterious and darker side just waiting to be explored.
In this three-part adventure, we're diving into the magic, mystery and macabre of Scotland's capital.
Part 1 kicks off with some chilling history. We visit the fascinating but eerie Surgeons' Hall Museum, delve into the past at the National Museum of Scotland, and wander through the haunted Greyfriars Kirkyard.
Scary shit. So get ready for a mix of history, spine-tingling stories and a touch of the supernatural as we unveil the secrets of Edinburgh.
Let's get started.
You'd be annoying going to the back of the bus.
Bus wankers! So here we are at Surgeons' Hall in Edinburgh. It was founded in 1852 and is one of the oldest medical museums in the world. It's supposed to be haunted too. So let's go and see what gross stuff they've got inside.
Well, that was disappointing. Due to the human remains inside the museum, we are not actually allowed to film anything at all, which is a shame because we wanted to tell you all about Burke and Hare, but I guess we'll cover some of that later in the video at some of the later locations. Onwards, probably time for a coffee.
We should go and find a nice little cafe for a coffee.
Stop for a little drink of black medicine coffee. Let's see what this place is like. Cool. They've got a huge amount of different syrups that you can choose from. I mean, the biggest list I've ever seen, but one of the most interesting facts about this place, and it tells you quite clearly over here, is that Harry Potter wasn't written here.
It smells of honeycomb and coffee.
Yeah, well,
Haha.
funny that.
Unfortunately, we didn't really have much time at the National Museum of Scotland, but out of all the fascinating exhibits, there was one in particular that really caught our attention. Accusations of witchcraft cast a long dark shadow over Scotland, starting in the 16th century. This period was marked by a relentless hysteria fueled by the fervent desire to uncover and punish those believed to be witches.
The spark for this obsession came from King James VI, whose harrowing experience at sea, beset by storms, led him to attribute the tempest to witchcraft. In 1590, he presided over the first significant witch hunt in Scotland, the North Berwick Witch Trials, an event that spanned 2 years and ensnared over 70 individuals in its tragic grasp.
Among those accused were mostly women, many of whom were known for their herbal knowledge and healing practices. In a society quick to assign blame, failed harvests and personal misfortunes were often laid at the feet of these women, turning community disputes into life and death matters.
Between the 16th and 18th centuries, Scotland witnessed the execution of between 3,000 and 4,000 souls, their fates sealed by torture and conviction on charges of witchcraft. Edinburgh in particular bore witness to an especially harrowing chapter, with a greater number of individuals strangled and burned at the stake on the esplanade of Edinburgh Castle than in any other part of the country.
The echoes of their suffering linger still, a sombre reminder of a time where fear eclipsed reason.
Welcome to Greyfriars Kirkyard, one of Edinburgh's most famous and eerie graveyards. Established in the 16th century, it's steeped in history and chilling legends.
Beneath these grounds lie mass graves of plague victims, a stark reminder of the city's darker days. But perhaps more unsettling are the ghost stories. The Mackenzie poltergeist, for example, is said to be one of the world's most notorious and active spirits, often lashing out at unsuspecting visitors.
In the 18th and 19th centuries, this graveyard became a hotspot for body snatchers, or resurrection men, who would steal freshly buried corpses to sell to medical schools. Grave robbers were so rampant that watchtowers were built, and some families even resorted to installing iron cages or mort safes over the graves. Even the dead found no peace here.
So, as we walk through, remember this is a place where history and the supernatural still linger.
So under the grass in this graveyard, apparently just inches below the turf, are thousands and thousands of skeletons from bodies that were kind of dumped in mass graves here during the plague times. It's a little bit creepy to think that we're walking over the top of thousands of dead people.
Now, let's travel back to the summer of 1645, when the worst outbreak of the plague was ravaging Edinburgh. The city mourned the loss of its plague doctor John Policius, as thousands succumbed to the disease. At the peak, only 60 men remained to defend the city.
Overcrowding within the walls allowed the plague to spread rapidly, with fleas on rats transmitting the illness. Two deadly forms struck: pneumonic plague, which attacked the lungs, causing horrific coughing and blackened skin, and bubonic plague, marked by painful boils that could swell to the size of oranges. Without treatment, these boils often proved fatal.
Those infected hung white sheets from their windows, signalling to the city's second plague doctor, George Ray, for help.
During the plague outbreaks in Edinburgh, particularly in the summer of 1645, bodies piled up rapidly due to the high death toll. To manage the overwhelming number of fatalities, authorities resorted to mass burials. Greyfriars Kirkyard became one of the primary sites for these burials, where bodies were hastily interred in mass graves, often without individual recognition. In addition to the kirkyard, the city's vaults were also used for this grim purpose. The dark, damp spaces beneath the city streets served as makeshift burial sites, where bodies were dumped in a desperate attempt to contain the spread of disease. These practices reflected the urgency and fear of the time, as communities struggled to cope with the devastation wrought by the plague.
The plague tore families apart and cast a dark shadow over the city, leaving behind a legacy of fear, loss, and haunting reminders of its absolute devastation. Now, I don't know if it's just me, because I'm a little bit sick in the head, but obviously with these thousands of bodies just inches under the grass, I kind of want to dig and see if I can see any bones.
We're in the Covenanters prison, which is great because normally this place is kept locked and you can only come here on kind of ghost tours and other organised tours around the kind of macabre within Edinburgh. But yeah, we're in here, so it gives us a chance to film a few bits and show you. I think usually they keep it locked, at least I read online, because of all the poltergeist activity.
The Covenanters were a group of Scottish Presbyterians who opposed the interference of the monarchy in church matters during the 17th century. This prison was used to detain hundreds of them in brutal conditions after their defeat in the Battle of Bothwell Brig in 1679.
Look at filming Frank. Pro videographer with her tongue out. That's a great one because you're like, ah. This is pretty cool. Love the ceiling in here. Ceiling? Is it? It's not ceiling. Roof? Bars? Whatever. I mean, it's pretty cool. Roof or ceiling? What an idiot. I wonder where the pro celebrity filmer has gone. Ah, she's up there. Let's see if she's got her tongue out this time. You're filming the scary place.
Yeah, it's not very exciting.
So this is apparently one of the most haunted places in the Covenanters prison. And if you come on a ghost tour, they'll bring you in here, and people have reported being scratched and feeling sick, and generally just feeling fairly unpleasant in here. We stood in there for a bit, nothing happened to us, but hey. Right, so having come out of the Covenanters prison, we're going to take you to George Mackenzie's mausoleum. Bloody George Mackenzie.
George Bloody Mackenzie was a notorious figure in Edinburgh's dark history. He earned his bloody nickname by brutally persecuting the Covenanters, a group of religious dissenters.
Thousands were imprisoned, tortured and executed under his orders, many held in the harsh conditions of the Covenanters prison within Greyfriars Kirkyard.
Ironically, Mackenzie is now buried in that same graveyard, and his tomb is said to be the source of one of the world's most active and violent hauntings.
So some say that this mausoleum is actually the source of poltergeist activity. I'm being a bit brave actually sitting on these steps because a lot of people have experienced strange injuries and fainting near his tomb. So, taking a bit of a risk, sat here.
In the next episode, we'll take a wander down the magical Victoria Street. Could this be the real-life inspiration for Diagon Alley?
We'll also be diving back into Edinburgh's darker side as we follow in the footsteps of the infamous body snatchers turned murderers Burke and Hare, uncovering their gruesome history.
And of course, we'll head up to the legendary Edinburgh Castle and take a stroll down the Royal Mile.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of the exciting discoveries and hidden stories we've yet to uncover.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in part 2 of our Edinburgh adventure on Bucket List Bound.